Hello, my dear friends. Let me guide you to a magical place, far away from all hardships and struggles. Close your eyes and open your imagination. Chapter 3, Diagon Alley. As you venture deeper into Diagon Alley, vibrant colors swirled around you, painting the sky in hues you had never imagined. Each cobblestone seemed to hum with stories, beckoning you to delve into the mysteries that awaited at every turn. Brightly colored shop fronts, each adorned with intricate signs, cried for your attention. While walking, you curiously glanced around, your senses heightened by the enchanting atmosphere. To your left, a shop stood out with its light blue facade, a cheerful contrast to its bright purple door. Above, the building boasted 2 balconies that jutted over the cobbled street, each painted in the same vivid purple as the door, creating a whimsical symmetry. In the shop window, an array of scarves hung, fluttering slightly, even though there wasn't a breeze. They came in all sizes and colors, some plain, others embellished with names and vibrant patterns. One scarf in particular caught your eye, an orange one, emblazoned with the words Shuttley cannons. At the end of the scarf, a playful cannon was depicted, shooting a moving cannonball that zipped back and forth, almost as if inviting you to join in on the fun. The lively scene stirred something within you, pulling you closer to the shop. As you stood captivated by the enchanting scarves, you felt a gentle tug on your arm. Turning around, you saw Aunt Clara. Her warm smile was a familiar anchor in the sea of wonder. "Come on, dear," she said, her voice a blend of excitement and practicality. "You can admire the scarves later. We need to head to Gringotts first. Wizards use a whole different currency than we do, and we can't shop until we exchange our money." You nodded, reluctant to tear your gaze away from the playful cannon on the scarf. "But Auntie, look at this one." "I know it's lovely, but I promise you'll have time to explore Diagon Alley later," she said, gently steering you towards the bank. "Gringotts is just around the corner, and once we have our wizarding money, the fun can really begin." Just a bit further to the right, another shop caught your eyes, this one painted in a soft light pink. Its window was a delightful display of all sorts of different bottles, brooms and towels, each glimmering with magical potential. Above the vibrant scene, an advertisement poster proudly proclaimed, "Mrs. Scour's all-purpose magical mess remover, now only one sickle. You couldn't really stand still to take it all in, as Aunt Clara continued to guide you onward. On the way to the bank, you passed all sorts of people. You passed a little old man with a velvet red hat. He wore a black robe that floated about an inch above his ankles. In one hand, he held a newspaper titled The Daily Prophet, while in the other was a clear bag filled with animal-shaped cookies that seemed to be jumping up and down, hoping to escape the bag. A bit further, you spotted a little boy opening a box, frantically swinging his arms around, trying to catch the chocolate frog that had just leapt out. His parents let out a loving laugh, adding to the joyful atmosphere that surrounded you. You lifted your gaze from the lively scene, and your eyes landed on the majestic building of Gringotts Bank looming ahead. Gringotts was an architectural marvel, towering above the other shops with its gleaming white marble facade. The building was adorned with intricate carvings. Above the heavy bronze door, an enormous inscription read, Gringotts Wizarding Bank, its letters glimmering in the ambient light as if infused with a touch of magic themselves. Two small cunning creatures, around 4 feet tall, flanked the entrance. Their expressions seemed serious and alert. They had long fingers, pointed ears, and sharp features, giving them a somewhat sinister appearance. You look at them a bit shocked. Quickly, you turn to your nephew Josh, who is following the group in complete silence all this time. He seemed to be looking around quite nervously. You couldn't help but notice. But letting your curiousness take over, you ask him, "What are those?" Josh gave you a quick glance and said, "Goblins." His eyes went back to scanning the area a bit paranoid directly after. Seeing on your face you needed more information, Aunt Clara started to explain. "Goblins?" Aunt Clara continued, her tone a mix of reverence and caution, "are the ones who manage Gringotts. They're brilliant at handling money and precious treasures, but they're also quite shrewd. It's best to treat them with respect, or they might not be so keen to help you." You nodded, absorbing her words, but the goblins' sharp features and intense gazes sent a shiver down your spine. You turned your attention back to the grand entrance of Gringotts, where the goblins stood vigilant, their eyes flickering around as if they were reading the intentions of every passerby. You stepped closer to the bronze doors. You felt a sense of awe wash over you. The intricate carvings told stories of wizards from ages past, battles fought, and treasures hidden deep within the bank's folds. A small thrill of adventure surged in your heart. This was a place of magic, mystery, and untold riches. Aunt Clara led the way through the entrance, and the heavy doors swung open with a resonant creak. Inside the bank, it was a hive of activity. Some goblins looked concentrated while counting stacks of glittering coins. Some were managing ledgers, and others were guiding witches and wizards to their vaults. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the sound of clinking coins and hushed conversations. "Stay close," Aunt Clara urged, and you felt a tug of excitement as you stepped further into the bustling bank. The marble floors gleamed under the golden light of ornate chandeliers, and the air was filled with a scent that smelled both old and comforting, like aged parchment and the promise of adventure. As you approached the main counter, a goblin with a particularly sharp suit and even sharper features looked up from his work. "What can I do for you?" he asked in a clipped tone, his eyes narrowing as he sized you up. Aunt Clara cleared her throat. "We'd like to exchange some money, please." The goblin nodded curtly and gestured to place the money on the counter. You felt a thrill as your mom slid the crumpled bills forward, watching as the goblin expertly counted and calculated with astonishing speed. "Wait here," he said, disappearing into a back room. You could barely contain your excitement, your gaze wandering back to the bustling scene around you. "Look at that," you pointed, catching sight of a group of children eagerly peering through a nearby door that was opened just enough for curious eyes to catch a glimpse inside. You saw countless little mine carts zooming around on various rails, leading to many, many different doors, each promising its own ultimate adventure. Josh, still slightly on edge, leaned closer. "Did you know they say the goblins have secret vaults, full of the most powerful magical artifacts?" he whispered, his eyes wide with intrigue. With your own curiosity piqued even further, you said, "I wonder what's in there," imagining all the possibilities. You turned to Aunt Clara and asked if you could go in there. She explained that only adult wizards have their own vaults, and since she and your mom are muggles, they don't have one. "But," she said smiling, "one day you will own your very own vault at Gringotts." Just then the goblin returned, his hands full of shimmering coins. He slid the pile of coins across the counter towards Aunt Clara, who smiled warmly. "Thank you," she said friendly. You watched as Aunt Clara took the coins, each one a little piece of magic, ready to be spent in the wondrous shops of Diagon Alley. The coins glimmered in the dim light, their surfaces reflecting colors like tiny rainbows. Once outside, the bustling atmosphere of Diagon Alley enveloped you again. Excitement bubbled within you, and you couldn't wait to explore. Aunt Clara kneeled down to your level, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Now, let me explain what we have here," she said, carefully sorting the coins in her hands. "These shiny gold coins are gold galleons," she explained, holding one up to the light. "They're the most valuable. Then we have these silver ones, called sickles," she continued, pointing to a smaller coin with an intricate shape. "And finally, these bronze ones are knuts. It takes a lot of them to make a galleon." You nodded, trying to remember the names. "Now, let's divide these up," Aunt Clara said, her fingers deftly separating the coins into 4 piles. "One for you, one for Josh, one for me, and one for your mom," she said cheerfully. With a twinkle in her eye, she handed you your coins, and you felt a thrill of ownership. You could already picture all the magical things you could buy. Aunt Clara smiled at you and Josh. "Remember, don't just buy everything you can find. Focus on the things on your list first." With coins jingling in your pocket, you felt ready to dive in the heart of Diagon Alley. "Alright, here's the plan," Aunt Clara then said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Josh, why don't you help our little adventurer pick out his ropes and a wand? You already know where to find those." Josh nodded reluctantly, his eyes still nervously hopping from left to right. Aunt Clara turned to you and smiled. "While the two of you are off, Eva, your mom, and I will head to Flourish and Bloods for your school box. It's a bit of treasure hunt in there, but I'm sure we will find every book you need for your first year at Hogwarts." You felt a little flutter of nerves, mixed with excitement. The thought of getting your wand was almost too much to bear. "Let's meet back here," Aunt Clara said, pointing to a colorful sign across the street that read "Diagon Alley's Ice Cream Parlor, in honor of Florian Fortescue. How does 3 p.m. sound?" "Perfect," you said happily, already imagining the sweet taste of ice cream after a busy day of shopping. "Remember to stick to the list," Aunt Clara reminded you again, her eyes sparkling with warmth. With that, she took Eva's hand and started off towards Flourish and Bloods, leaving you and Josh to embark on your own adventure. With them disappearing into the bustling crowds, you turned to Josh. Eager to get moving yourself, you asked, "So, where do we need to go now?" He glanced around nervously before replying, "We need to hurry to Madame Hawkins to get your robes. I made plans with my friends in less than an hour." "An hour?" you yelled. "But I also need to get my wand after. Can we really do all that in only an hour?" "Just hurry," Josh replied, annoyed, not wanting to make Josh more upset, and very eager to get moving yourself. You nodded and said, "Okay, let's go." You both started weaving through the lively streets of Diagon Alley, anticipation building with each step. With a sense of purpose, you and Josh made your way down the cobbled street, the sights and sounds of Diagon Alley buzzing all around you, the shops still bursting with magical items, robes of every color, pocket watches that seemed to hum with energy, and enchanted trinkets that danced in their displays. You set your way to the robe shop. As you approached the shop with shimmering robes hanging in the window, you felt a surge of excitement. "There it is!" Josh exclaimed, and together you stepped towards the door, ready to find the perfect robes for the big adventure that awaits you at Hogwarts.